Stepdaughter told their mom they wish their real dad lived here instead of me. So I gave them what they wanted: his address, his phone number, and packed lunches for the visit that would never come. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reddit Visuals. Have you ever reached that moment where you realize people can wish for something so blindly that they don't even see how good they already have it? I used to think patience fixes everything, until I learned some lessons can only be taught by letting people face exactly what they say they want. My name's Mark. I'm 42, a construction project manager, husband to Laura, and stepfather to two teenagers, Emily, 18, and Jake, 16. For the past 4 years, I've been Mark, never Dad. That's fine. I came into their lives when they were 14 and 12, old enough to have clear memories of their father, old enough to resist a replacement. I knew there'd be boundaries, but what I didn't know was that every effort I made, every ride to practice, every late-night help session with college applications, every family dinner I cooked from scratch, would one day be weaponized against me like I was some intruder in my own home. It started small, the way disrespect always does. Passive-aggressive comments at dinner. "Mom, Dad used to make spaghetti with Italian sausage, remember?" Not this ground beef stuff. Or when I'd fix something around the house, a leaky faucet, a stuck door, the Wi-Fi router they killed by downloading God knows what. Jake would mumble under his breath, "Real dads just know how to do this automatically. They don't have to YouTube it." Real dads. Like I was a counterfeit. It stung, sure, but I brushed it off. Teenagers test boundaries. I wasn't there to compete with their memory of some perfect father. I was there to build something stable in the present. I met Laura 4.5 years ago when she was rebuilding her life from rubble. Her ex-husband, Matt, had moved 3 states away for a job, to Colorado, where he claimed the career opportunity was too good to pass up, and within 6 months of moving, he'd basically ghosted his own kids. He called maybe once a month, sent birthday texts with Venmo codes that sometimes worked, and paid child support so irregularly that Laura had to chase him through lawyers. She was doing everything alone, working full-time as a dental hygienist, shuttling kids to activities, holding it together with duct tape and willpower. I admired that strength. When we got married 3 years ago, I took her kids as part of the package deal. I paid for Emily's SAT prep course, got Jake his first real mountain bike, and helped Emily practice for her driver's test in empty parking lots on Sundays. I wasn't trying to replace anyone. I was trying to be present, to be the adult who showed up. But being present doesn't mean being appreciated. Sometimes it just means being invisible until someone needs something. One Saturday night about 2 months ago, I overheard them in the living room. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was walking back from the garage with a toolbox because the basement door hinge had been squeaking for a week, and Laura kept asking me to fix it. The TV was on, some reality show playing in the background. Emily was scrolling through her phone on the couch, and Jake sprawled on the floor with his laptop. They were laughing about something, that easy sibling shorthand that I'm never quite part of. Then I heard it, crystal clear. Emily said, not even quietly, "Honestly, Mom got so lucky marrying Mark. But I wish Dad lived here instead. At least he'd let us have fun." Jake snorted, that dismissive teenage sound. "Yeah, for real. Mark's always on us about grades and chores and responsibility. Dad would just let us live." And just like that, 4 years of effort collapsed into a pile of meaningless rubble. I stood there in the hallway for what felt like a full minute, but was probably only 15 seconds, staring at the wall, my chest tight like someone had wrapped rubber bands around my ribs. Laura was in the kitchen loading the dishwasher. I walked in, set the toolbox down harder than I meant to, and sat at the counter. "Do you ever feel," I said quietly, "like you're just tolerated in your own house? Like you're the guy who pays the bills and fixes the Wi-Fi but doesn't actually belong here?" She turned around, confused, her hands still wet from the sink. "What are you talking about? What happened?" I told her what I'd just heard, word for word. She sighed, that long, tired sigh people do when they're about to defend something indefensible. "Mark, they're just kids. They don't mean it. They're testing boundaries. You know how teenagers are. They're 18 and 16, Laura. Emily's about to go to college. Jake's driving. They're not kids. And even if they were, that doesn't make it okay." She dried her hands on a towel and looked at me with this expression I'd seen before, sympathy mixed with exhaustion, like she wished I'd just let it go. What do you want me to do? Ground them for having an opinion? I want you to tell them I deserve respect. That's it. That's all I'm asking. But she didn't. She just finished loading the dishwasher and went upstairs to fold laundry. And that silence, that refusal to defend me, hit harder than anything the kids had said. That night, I barely slept. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan going in circles, replaying the conversation, the dismissiveness, the casual cruelty of wishing I weren't there. It wasn't just the words, it was that no one seemed to care how those words landed. By the time the sun came up, I'd made a decision. The next morning, Sunday, Emily came downstairs around 10 looking for a ride to her friend Brianna's house across town. "Hey, Mark, can you drive me? Mom's at the grocery store and I told Bri I'd be there by 10:30. I looked up from my coffee. "Ask your real dad." She blinked like I'd just spoken Mandarin. "What?" "Your real dad. The one you wish lived here. Ask him for a ride." She stared at me, her face shifting from confusion to annoyance. "He doesn't live here, Mark." "Obviously." "Exactly," I said, picking up my keys and heading toward the garage. "Guess you'll have to figure it out. Maybe Uber. Maybe your mom when she gets back. Maybe your real dad if he's not too busy." I left. I went to Home Depot and spent 2 hours walking the aisles buying things I didn't need, just to be somewhere I wasn't being taken for granted. When I got back, Laura was furious. She met me at the door like a lawyer ready to cross-examine. "You seriously left Emily stranded?" "She was crying, Mark. She missed meeting her friend because you decided to be petty." "I'm not being petty," I said, setting down the bags. "I'm giving them what they want." "They want their real dad?" "Fine. Let's see what that actually looks like when he's the one they have to rely on." "You're being a child," she snapped. "No, Laura. I'm being a man who's tired of being disrespected in his own house while you do nothing about it." That week, I did something I'd been avoiding for 4 years. I called Matt. I found his number in Laura's phone contacts. She kept it for emergencies, though I couldn't remember a single emergency where he'd actually shown up. The call rang 4 times before he picked up. "Yeah," he said, like answering the phone was an inconvenience. "Matt, it's Mark, Laura's husband." Silence, then cautiously, Okay. What's up?" "Your kids miss you," I said, keeping my voice even. "They've been talking about how much they wish you were around more. I thought maybe you'd want to know that. Maybe plan a visit. Spend some time with them." Another pause. "Look, man, I appreciate you calling, but you know I can't just drop everything. I've got a new wife now, Jess. We're expecting a baby in 4 months. It's complicated." "Well," I said, "maybe you should tell them that yourself. Because right now, they think you're some kind of hero who's just too busy being successful to visit. They don't know you've moved on." "That's not—" He stopped. "That's not fair." "Fair?" I almost laughed. "You want to talk about fair? I've been doing your job for 4 years. The least you can do is have one honest conversation with them." I hung up before he could respond. Then I opened a group text with Emily and Jake. I typed, "Since you both miss your dad so much and think he'd be better at this than me, I reached out to him. Here's his number if you want to call. Number. He said he'd be happy to catch up with you guys. Also, his address in Denver is address if you want to plan a visit. I can pack you lunches for the drive." I hit send and set my phone face down on the counter. The silence that followed was the kind you could cut with a knife and serve on a plate. Emily's response came 3 minutes later. "Wait, what? You actually called him? Are you serious right now?" Jake just sent back, "K." That night, no one spoke to me at dinner. Laura glared at me across the table like I'd committed some unforgivable sin. Emily picked at her food. Jake ate fast and disappeared to his room. But I didn't feel guilty. For the first time in months, I felt clarity. 3 days later, Jake told me at breakfast, barely looking up from his cereal, that they'd FaceTimed their dad the night before. He said he's going to try to come visit, maybe around Thanksgiving or Christmas. He's not sure yet. His wife's pregnant or whatever. That's great, I said, keeping my tone neutral. Something to look forward to. Emily looked up from her phone. He said he's really busy right now, but he misses us. I'm sure he does, I said, and left it at that. Meanwhile, I stopped doing the invisible work that held their lives together. I stopped doing their laundry, left it in a basket outside their doors with a note that said, "Washer and dryer are downstairs." I stopped reminding Jake about his chemistry homework that was due on Fridays. I stopped making family dinners when Laura worked her late Thursday shifts. I wasn't mean about it. I didn't lecture. I just went invisible, the same way they'd been treating me for years. A week into my quiet withdrawal, the consequences started to land. Emily missed her Monday morning carpool to school because I was the one who used to drive her when Laura left early for work. She'd never arranged her own ride before. She'd just assumed I'd be there. When Laura found out Emily had to take an Uber and was late to the first period, she turned on me. "You couldn't just drive her one time?" "I wasn't asked," I said. "And even if I was, I'm not her real dad. Real dads do that stuff, right?" Laura's face went red, but she didn't have a comeback. 2 days later, Jake tried to make himself a frozen pizza and set the oven temperature wrong. Smoke filled the kitchen. The alarm went off. He stood there panicking until I walked in, opened the windows, and turned off the oven without saying a word. "Thanks," he muttered. I didn't respond, just left the room. Friday night, Laura finally exploded. "Mark, can you please just help them? This is getting ridiculous. You're being cruel." "I'm giving them what they asked for," I said calmly. "They wanted their real dad to handle things. I'm just stepping back so he has room to step up. How's that going, by the way? Has he called? Made plans yet?" She didn't answer because we both knew he hadn't. That's when the breaking point came. The following Wednesday night, Emily burst into my home office, where I was reviewing construction schedules. Her eyes were red and puffy, her face blotchy. She'd been crying hard. "He canceled," she said, her voice cracking. "Dad canceled. He was supposed to visit next month, and he just texted and said he can't. His wife's having complications with the pregnancy, and they can't travel. He said maybe next year." I looked at her for a long moment. Calm, steady. I didn't reach for her. I didn't offer comfort. I just said, "I'm sorry to hear that, Emily. That must be really disappointing." She stared at me like she was waiting for me to fold, to fix it, to make her feel better the way I always had before. But I didn't. Not that night. I just said, "Maybe now you understand what I've been trying to tell you about showing up." Her face crumpled, and she left, slamming my office door behind her. The next morning, Thursday, I woke up to find a piece of notebook paper slipped under my bedroom door. It was folded in half. I opened it and recognized Emily's handwriting immediately, that loopy, over-dotted style she'd had since middle school. It said, "Mark, I'm really sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it. You've done more for us than Dad ever has. I was being stupid, and I didn't realize how much you actually do until you stopped. I'm sorry. Emily." Below it, in Jake's messier scrawl, was a second note. "I miss the lunches you used to pack. And the rides, and your helping with my homework. I didn't realize how much I needed that stuff until it was gone. Sorry. Jake, it would be a perfect ending if everything magically healed right there, wouldn't it? But real life doesn't work that way." I took the note, folded it, and put it in my desk drawer. I didn't run to them with open arms. Not yet. That afternoon, Laura and I had the hardest conversation we'd had in our entire marriage. I told her that her silence had enabled their disrespect, that her refusal to defend me had made me feel like a paycheck with legs, that I couldn't keep being the only adult in the house who enforced boundaries while she played good cop. She cried. She admitted she'd been afraid to upset the kids, afraid they'd pull away from her the way they were already distant from their dad. "I thought if I just kept everyone happy, we'd all be okay," she said. "But I was wrong. I'm sorry, Mark. I should have had your back." "You should have," I agreed. "But we can fix this if you're willing to actually try." She nodded. "We agreed to family therapy, not because we were falling apart, but because we needed a referee while we rebuilt the foundation. That Sunday, I did something that felt petty and perfect at the same time. I made breakfast like I used to: pancakes, scrambled eggs, bacon, the whole spread. I set it all on the table, and then I placed 2 brown paper lunch bags in the center, each one labeled in black marker, Emily and Jake. When they came downstairs, still half asleep, they froze when they saw the bags. "What's this?" Emily asked carefully. "Packed lunches," I said, pouring myself coffee. "For your trip to Denver to visit your real dad. I figured if you're planning to go see him since he can't come here, you'll need provisions. Sandwiches, chips, granola bars, apples. I even packed extra snacks for the 8-hour drive. Gas station food gets expensive." Jake stared at the bags like they might explode. "We're not going to Denver." "Oh," I said, raising an eyebrow. "I thought you wanted to see your real dad. Wanted him to be the one living here. Wanted him making decisions and letting you have fun without all my annoying rules." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "We don't want to go anywhere, Mark. We want to stay here. With you." "Then maybe," I said, sitting down at the table, "you should think about how you treat the people who actually show up for you. Because those bags, they're a reminder. Every time you think about wishing I weren't here, remember that I'm the one who's here, every day. And if you ever want to test which dad is actually reliable, those lunches are ready to go." Neither of them touched the bags. Emily sat down and cried quietly into her hands. Jake sat next to her, staring at his plate. Laura came downstairs, saw the scene, and gave me a look that said she understood. That night, Emily knocked on my office door around 8. "Can we watch a movie together? Like a family?" Her voice was small, uncertain. Jake appeared behind her. "Yeah, if that's okay." I nodded. "Sure. Pick something." We ended up watching some action movie Jake had been wanting to see. Lots of explosions, not much plot, the kind of thing I'd normally zone out during. But that night I stayed present. We didn't talk much. Emily sat on one end of the couch, Jake on the other, Laura in the middle, and me in my chair. It wasn't a Hallmark redemption with hugs and tears. It was just quiet, awkward togetherness. But for the first time in months, the air in the room felt real instead of forced. Now, 2 months later, things are better. Not perfect. Healing isn't a light switch. They still text their dad occasionally, and I want them to have that relationship, whatever it looks like. But they've learned that love isn't a title you inherit. It's consistency. It's showing up when it's inconvenient. It's packing lunches and fixing squeaky hinges and driving people to practice, even when they don't say thank you. The funniest thing happened last week. Jake asked me to help him with his college essay. He's applying early decision to a couple of schools. We were sitting at the kitchen table going through his draft, and he said, "Dad, can you read this part and tell me if it sounds too dramatic?" He froze mid-sentence, his face going red. "I mean, Mark." "Sorry, I meant Mark." I pretended not to notice, kept reading his essay. But inside, I swear, that one slip of the tongue hit me harder than any insult ever could. Later that night, Emily called down from upstairs, "Dad, do you know where the car keys are?" Then caught herself. Mark. Sorry. I don't correct them anymore. If it happens, it happens." Looking back, I realize I didn't give them revenge. I gave them reality. I made them face the gap between what they wished for and what they actually had. And sometimes reality is the most effective teacher there is. So what do you think? Was I wrong to give them exactly what they asked for? Or was this the only way to make them see what family really means? Was I too harsh or not harsh enough? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me what you would have done in my shoes. And if you've ever had someone take your effort for granted, if you've ever been the person who showed up every day and got treated like you were replaceable, let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. It helps the channel grow and keeps these real-life stories coming your way. Thanks for watching.